You know, I'm not really sure whether I should call this my opinion on G.I. Joe Part 2 or G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra trailer review. Because in this video, I'll be addressing some of the stories going around the movie lately, along with analyzing the trailer. Let's look at the deep fact, people. Not everybody knows who G.I. Joe is, even if you are American. And even if you have heard of it, you don't necessarily know everything about the action figures, the comics, or the cartoon. I will bet you that in one movie theater or another, there is at least one person thinking, so is Channing Tatum Joe, or is it Dennis Quaid? Why would they be thinking this? Well, because you haven't addressed the fact in the advertisement that G.I. Joe is a team in this movie instead of a particular individual. Now getting into the trailer itself. It begins with an announcement of a missile attack about to begin, while a submarine moves toward an underwater city, which I'm assuming is Cobra Island. Yes, they call it an island, and it's underwater. Unfortunately, this city does not seem very creative in design. Don't get me wrong, it looks huge, but it kinda looks like a ripoff of the Gungan City from Episode 1 Phantom Menace, or the city Rapture from the video game Bioshock. So from there, the character Destro, played by Christopher Eccleston, says, "When I'm finished, the world will never forget," with a decent Scottish accent, I might add. After this, the scene cuts to a missile colliding with the Eiffel Tower, and some kind of green acid, which is apparently nanites, eats through the tower and forces it to fall over. Okay, so Destro's threat was lived up. But the sequence of the Eiffel Tower falling over, to me, was not that impressive when first viewed. I'm hoping that in the actual movie it'll be executed better. It's not like I'm going, "Holy crap!" It's kinda like, whoa, they brought down the Eiffel Tower. It just seems like a dazzling piece of visual effects as opposed to a nail-biting disaster. Now that I've brought up that topic, couldn't the filmmakers come up with something more creative than taking down the Eiffel Tower? They did the same thing in Team America World Police, just as a joke. On a similar note, when you really look at it, this movie is really starting to look like the same structure as that film, but with a more serious tone. How? Well, let's look at it. A. It's a team made up of professionally elite soldiers, with new recruits brought in to provide the audience's perspective. Duke and Ripcord for G.I. Joe, and Gary for Team America. These team members are brought in due to their expertise in certain skills, rather than your buffed up, top secret Black Ops force. B. Said team is to provide peace to the world, not just a particular country or continent. C. The villain is an arms dealer / terrorist, and by that I'm addressing the fictional adaptation of Kim Jong-il. And D. The action is complete with futuristic vehicles, arsenal, and technology. I'm starting to wonder if by the time that August rolls in, if Trey Parker and Matt Stone won't watch this movie and feel stabbed in the back. I mean, they got pretty ticked off with Brokeback Mountain after it got made years after their jokes about gay cowboys eating pudding. But that's a whole nother ball of wax. Moving on. A shot of the team assembling is shown next. Not bad, it gives the film a bit of a unified theme. After this, however, the film seems to take a bit of an odd feel to it. They bring in what they call Delta 6 accelerator suits. Pretty much armored exoskeletons that make the wearer move faster. Okay, so why? I mean, from looking at the trailer, the suit looks totally irrelevant to the story. Is Destro gonna steal the suits and sell them to terrorists? Doesn't look like it. Duke's the only person who seems to actually wear the thing, for what seems to be only one scene in the entire trailer. So what's the purpose of the suits, aside from eye-candy technology? From there comes 1,000 brief glimpses of submarine battles, explosions, aerial dogfights, and what seems to be people doing gymnastics off of cars and subways. By the end of the trailer, the plot doesn't seem to be much addressed or even hinted at. One minute it looks like they're going to have a missile attack around the world with this green acid, and the next minute it looks like they're using drills to destroy the Earth's crust, later followed by a montage of explosions. Seriously, who doesn't watch a trailer in a movie theater or online and not want this million-dollar question answered? What is this movie about? Usually when the plot isn't addressed in one of the trailers, this means one of two things. They're holding back an interesting and epic plot, like in Star Trek or The Dark Knight, for the actual premiere of the movie, or a plot that isn't so good. I guess we won't know until the movie's seen, but according to some online reports, it may not end so well. Now let's look at the dialogue. You know, with a lot of action movie trailers these days, there seems to be more and more of these one-liners where somebody says something just to sound cool and pump up the audience. But when you watch the movie itself and hear it, it feels like an awkward and almost useless part of the conversation. Well, G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra seems to be packed full of these, because hardly any of the dialogue spoken in this trailer sounds very creative. We have never faced a threat like this. Yes, you have. In just about every action movie since the dawn of time. Here they come. Wow. Twist a few words, slap a grey beard and a pointy hat on him, and he almost sounds like Gandalf. Almost. When all else fails, we don't. Oh, okay. So, here's a pure hypothetical situation. If they do happen to fail, should we just put a grenade between our teeth and expect all hope to be utterly lost? Go, go, go! Every other action movie seems to have that line in it these days. Apparently, acting like an overzealous talking traffic light makes you look cooler to people. And finally, this has only just begun. Probably one of the most repetitive lines since the mid-90s in movie history. It's a bit of an ironic twist, actually, that most of the movies that have that line never get sequels. I'm sorry, but if the film's entire dialogue is as creative as this stuff, the movie's in trouble. Looking at the trailer's music, that was what reeled me in. It's got this loud, epic techno feel to it that suits the action and the futuristic elements. If they have as good or better music as what I saw in this trailer, you just might keep me interested in the theater. Fortunately, though, this is not G.I. Joe the musical. Alright, for a minute here, let's take a break from the trailer and address some of the rumors. Earlier, I heard a report that the director of the film, Stephen Sommers, was fired from the movie after a test screening was met with incredibly negative reviews. And from that, I also heard that the studio had hired someone to re-edit the movie. Well, that report was apparently false. Still though, you have to wonder whether it was just started by some punk who wanted to see how long the rumor could last, or if this is just the studio covering their own butts. Frankly, after seeing the trailer, I don't think that the movie looks like it could be that terrible. So regardless of what the viewers have said thus far, I'm going to take a leap of faith in August and go see the movie anyway. After all, you've got Ray Park as Snake Eyes. You're not going to have a terrible action movie. Already, the action seems like it's going to be great. It just seems like they're focusing too much on the digital side of it. So in the end, it looks like it's going to be an interesting movie. But I think that they need to address some of the characters by name in future marketing. General Hawk seemed to be the only name given in the entire trailer. Trust me, people. I can already hear non-G.I. Joe fans in August laughing in the theater when they hear them downright say, "Call me Baroness. Call me Heavy Duty. I am Storm Shadow." Get that stuff over with in the advertisements so that you can actually have people walk into the movie and hear their names again with a serious face.